What's pop, y'all? Need a bad B with a low body count to put my focus on. Those were some of the lyrics that were rapped by none other than real Boston Richey, who's had quite a meteoric rise and then somewhat of a fall in attention and definitely a spike in controversy a couple of years ago, before now finding himself in the worst position in his entire life at quite a young age of only 27 years old. So Boston Richey, he got on initially from this song, I think it was Keep Dissing, but he's a street rapper from Southern Florida, and he got on with his own songs. I'm not going to take that away from him, but the way that I first found out about him was when he collaborated with Future. Future had him on a song with him, and Future had signed him, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But after that, he would work with, the biggest song that I discovered him from was Keep Dissing 2 with Lil Durk. Keep in mind, this was a couple of years ago, so Lil Durk was scorching hot. That's not to say that Lil Durk isn't hot right now, which I still believe that he is. We're going to cover that in a different type of video. But Boston Richey starts blowing up. He's the next street rapper that's coming out. He was making good music. I enjoyed the music. It's good for what it is. But then the first set of controversy and you could say obstacle came his way, which was the snitching allegations. And this started with Rowdy Rebel of GS9 calling out real Boston Richey for cooperating with law enforcement during a criminal investigation. So Boston Richey clearly denied this, and he even dropped a track where he denied this. And the allegations started to gain traction within like hip hop pages and stuff like that. And this is the funny part. Boston Richey reached out to 1090 Jake, who at this time was still blowing up and was seen as the king of exposing people for snitching and paperwork. Like if he told, then 1090 Jake was going to talk about it. And if 1090 Jake said that he told, then people were just going to believe it. Now, whether or not that's still the case, I'm not sure, because people feel their own ways about 1090 Jake now. And I still think he's more popular than ever. It's just that at that peak, so many people were getting exposed one after the other that were really famous. So all eyes were on 1090 Jake. So eventually an interrogation video comes out. It gets put out by 1090 Jake. 1090 Jake calls him a rat, and then things start spiraling out of control. Boston Richey's obviously trying to do damage control. Future seemingly distanced himself from Boston Richey for a little bit. The people that loved Boston Richey, that didn't really care, were trying to defend the situation. So all in all, that was a terrible situation. And people thought Boston Richey's career was over because he was a street rapper. But eventually that ended up passing. Some people believe that he did it. Some people don't believe that he did it. I still don't even really know, nor do I really care. I thought Boston Richey had lost a lot of collaborations during that time because we didn't see him work with many people. But he ended up signing a $7 million deal with Epic Records. And that was right when he said that they were offering him money to stop covering the rapper and his legal problems. And this is 1090 Jake. They said that Epic was trying to give him some money. We're not really too sure. I think it's a possibility. And Boston Richey never addressed this, and he kept just going on doing his thing. There was even times when Boston Richey and his crew said they were trying to get down with 1090 Jake. And I'm not talking about get down like become collaborators. I'm talking about get down like run fades and stuff like that. Like gang stuff got involved, including the affiliations that 1090 Jake has. But we're not going to get into all of that. So there was that, and that's something that can destroy your career, right? Well, there was also another controversy, and this is the thing. Boston Richey somewhat invited that controversy into his life by reaching out to 1090 Jake and telling them to look into the stuff. With that being said, there was also early on in his life taking risks. Boston Richey was, I don't know if this is public information. Boston Richey was cross-country trapping. This guy was moving packs from LA to Florida. So he was trapping across the country. That's how he made his money. That's how he was able to invest in his rap career. He was moving. Now, I don't know what else he was moving, but I know he was moving them packs. Or I heard that he was moving packs, mostly weed and stuff like that. I don't know about him doing any crimes, like violent crimes. And this isn't telling or whatever, even if it was telling, it is what it is. I'm not in the streets with this guy, but it's public information because, and I don't have any proof of this, it's just rumors that I've heard, because Boston Richey would end up getting charged in 2023 for this. In 2023, he was indicted with 3 of his associates on charges of conspiracy to distribute marijuana. So this was a federal grand jury that indicted him, not a state case. So he was already in trouble for this, and he was able to post bond for this. He was facing a lot of time for this. And this is very important. So Boston Richey was already facing a lot of time. And in this time span, after he got off on bond, he posted bond to awaiting trial because it's been over 2 years. or not over 2 years. It's been well over a year since then. And the details still really aren't out there, but it involved a large-scale trafficking operation, and we don't know how long that could last. He's facing anywhere from 5 to 20 plus years, including any prior offenses he may have, but he's out on bond for that. So you're thinking, okay, this guy's out on bond for a Fed case, conspiracy to distribute case. You would think he'd ease up, he wouldn't do anything too crazy. Well, he somewhat didn't do anything too crazy. Now, the number one thing that he did, which I am so impressed by, and this is a great song, is he released this song, Help Me. In the song Help Me, it's kind of wild that this became his biggest song ever, solo. No feature from Future. That's almost a tongue twister. No feature from Glorilla, no support from anybody else. He just dropped Help Me, and that song organically really started picking up. And it's a good song because considering his situation, he got arrested, he's posting bond, he's awaiting trial, he had the snitching accusations or whatever, and he drops this song that pretty much like pours his heart out, his plans for his life, what he wants. And those are the lyrics that I read you in the beginning of this song. And it resonated with a lot of people, and it started blowing up. And now it's his biggest song on YouTube. It's his biggest song in general. But what happens? Well, he starts to get into a lot of controversy with women. Women took, I wouldn't say they necessarily took a liking to him, but they took an interest in Boston Richey's music and career. And the first time this happened was in December of 2024, where Boston Richey faced allegations of revenge porn from his ex-girlfriend Air J, who was a TikTok influencer. And she accused him of distributing a video of their encounters without her consent and bragging about it to associates. So this is the thing with Boston Richey. He probably doesn't even know he's doing anything wrong. Now, I don't know if he sent the video, but he should know that that is a crime. Either way, I don't even think he knew that was a crime for some reason. He was probably like, oh yeah, you know, this is the chick, showing it around. I don't know if he was still dating her at the time. Not intentionally sure. But then there's text messages between them that read the following. It starts off with this tweet where she says, Boston Richey is a child molester and a creep who exposes girl. And this is the first time that people found, because at this point, this girl was already Boston Richey's ex. So keep in mind that colors what she says. But at this point, Boston Richey was dating Tatiana Chanel, who was 18 years old at the time of this accusation. And there are other rumors that said that Boston Richey was dating her before that. So she goes on to say, nah, his mother started bothering me and he exposed me numerous times without my knowledge. And then you can see the text threads. And he's like, it wasn't like that, especially not no ish to get mad about. It's nothing to mad about, bruh. That's my favorite video. I'm sorry, SMH. Damn, I can't even lie to you, fool. You know I got real love for you. Okay, how can I make it up to you? I'm sorry. It wasn't like that, especially not no ish to get mad about. That's allegedly Boston Richey writing that to this chick. And then he went back to the girl Jay because she revealed this to his current girl, Tatiana Chanel, who he sent her money and he wants to keep the situation under wraps. And he's like, bruh, the F you gonna switch on me like that? That ish lame AF, fool. I told you I was gonna zell you. I just sent you $2,500. And all time, everybody, someone down, I had your back. Even when them dudes stole them video out your phone, I still didn't snap on you or say anything. And then she asked him to stop texting. He allegedly said, chick, I had your back, ain't snap, did no weird ish or make you feel like you okayed. Chick, you lame fool, that ain't player. But like I said, the first time, that next karma is gonna humble you in a way you'll never thought. So Boston Richey, he became known as a bit of a trick. Like telling on people, or not telling on people, that's funny. Talk about subconscious thoughts. That's just what I associate with Boston Richey. Not to say he did it, but that was the biggest event in his career up until this point. And then now they put out an expose in January of 2024. So this was before all this happened. And they said the real story of who the real Boston Richey bagged. Tatiana, born in 2006, her ID was exposed by another girl who Boston Richey was entangled with. This was in 2023. She was only 17 years old, but their affair began way before that. Now Boston Richey feels comfortable because she'll be turning this year, and they put out all this information, and someone says, how'd they even meet, start talking, and this just started to bubble up. Another attempted expose was posted in January of 2024 where Tatiana Chanel turned 18, and she said, yup, happy B-Day to me. And it was a story by Boston Richey where he says, let it would have been my lady, my okay, and it had his chain around the waist. And there was also a photo of Tatiana Chanel that people corresponded this like birthmark or discoloration beneath her chest. And they corresponded those two together. And then also the birthday cake that read legal. So this was a whole thing. And you're probably already thinking like either this is not a big deal or okay, this is really bad, depending on the type of person you are. However, this gets even worse because keep in mind, he was already under investigation. Now he's 28, she's 19 because we're in 2025. Her birthday's in January of 2025. So they've been around for a while. There's like cheating back and forth, but that's not the important part because here we're talking about Boston Richey continuously getting himself in trouble. There was this clip that started circulating, which was an interaction between them outside of a club.
Hellion. Oh. What the hell, Burton? That's Shorty?
Yes, it is Shorty.
That's the little young joint?
Yes. The Tatiana girl? Yes. Ooh. Don't get clipped. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, what the hell, Burton? What the Hellion? What the helly?
Oh.
No.
Yeah, don't record that.
Yeah.
So from that clip, you're looking at it like, hold on, whoa, this is very aggressive. This is a heated exchange. He grabs her phone, tosses it. You don't even know what's going on. Number one, how are they outside of a club? Isn't she 19? Is this like an 18 plus club? How is she getting in there? Is he bringing her backstage? So is she drinking there? These are a lot of questions that need answers. But people weren't too happy with this situation. Some people just decided to mind their business. I think it was like something about cheating. Who really knows? But this gets worse because she would go to the police and actually file charges against Boston Richey for abuse. So Boston Richey gets picked up on charges of family violence, and she was stating that he took her phone during an argument and choked her approximately 20 times in 2 hours, applying pressure for 6 to 10 seconds each time. So if you just read through this and keep in mind the date that this is happening, March 30th, it says sometime between 20 and 22:30 hours, the complainant, Tatiana Charles, hereby referred to complainant, stated that she and the defendant, Jalen Foster, who from all the paperwork that we've read about him know as Boston Richey, who was her boyfriend for approximately 1 to 2 years, was at Saki pool event for an event. And this is the one where the argument happened, when the defendant grabbed her phone from her hands and began arguing with her and later took her other phone. Tatiana stated that the defendant and she had taken 2 separate vehicles to arrive at 806 Main Street. She said once they got there, she asked him for her phone back from the vehicle. The complainant said that when she got out of the vehicle, the defendant, Jalen Foster, aka Boston Richey, exited the vehicle and pushed her onto the second row of the vehicle. He arrived at the location and began to choke her with both hands around her neck, and the complainant stated that the defendant had choked her for approximately 6 to 10 seconds, choking her approximately 20 times in 2 hours. This guy was doing a marathon session. I mean, he was trying to break under 2 hours for the marathon. And this is actually, this guy's experienced, because usually if like someone's really angry, it's not going to sustain for 2 hours, right? Like someone's angry, maybe he chokes a chick, and then number one, he's not hitting the chick. So he's probably already thinking, okay, if I hit her, she's going to have marks. And then she's going to expose me for having marks. So this is even more sinister than usual, because let's say he just, in quotations, just hit her. That's probably, you could say, oh, that's low impulse control. It's in a rage. This happened. And like he stopped after, right? Like he was like, oh, my rage is over. And she gets a couple of bruises. And that's not to downplay what happened, but it's to show the psychology of how you get to what happened. And at that point, obviously it would be terrible. But in his mind, he knows that he shouldn't put bruises on her. So he knows exactly what he's doing. And of course, he's probably still angry. And then if he chokes her 6 to 10 seconds, it's probably enough for her to basically damn near pass out and then come back to life. And then again and again, and for 2 hours. Keep in mind, to sustain this for 2 hours is insane. Allegedly, keep in mind, this is all alleged. And then the complainant said that the defendant on 2 occasions during this assault had pushed her down to the floor of the vehicle and used his knee and body weight on her neck. He was giving her the Derek Chauvin. This is insane. To stop her breathing for approximately 6 to 10 seconds. During the strangulation, the complainant stated that she believed she had lost consciousness, felt dizzy, lightheaded, tense, weak, and had vomited 2 times in the vehicle. And she stated that she felt as though she was going to die. And then he said, if you call police, I might as well kill you. And when she tried to get out of the car, he said, you're not getting out of this car. And also said there were 2 other people in the car as the assault took place, and he did not stop until a mutual friend of both of theirs had gotten the car and prevented the defendant from continuing the assault on the complainant. She says that she was 4 to 8 weeks pregnant, and the defendant is aware that she is pregnant. So Boston Richey gets her pregnant. She's 18 now? It's not too surprising for her to be pregnant if she was already, or 19 now. I mean, some of young boys, girls that had kids when they were 18, 19. Granted, I'm not saying young boy was getting with them when they were 16, 17. He was 16, 17 at that point. And then she said she wanted to press charges against him, which is the surprising part. And for sure, this happened multiple times, probably actual beatings, maybe actual chokings. And then this time was the one where she actually went to police. And Boston Richey gets charged. So now Boston Richey's facing charges, and they were looking to pick up Boston Richey. So Boston Richey was on the quote-unquote run for a little bit, if you want to call it that. And keep in mind, he's doing this while he is, oh my goodness, while he is out on bond waiting trial for a federal trafficking case, conspiracy case. And then Tatiana Chanel, his girlfriend, puts out a statement saying, "I want to address a deeply personal and painful situation that has recently occurred. While pregnant, I was physically assaulted and choked by my former boyfriend, Jalen, aka Boston Richey. This experience has been traumatic and heartbreaking beyond words. I want to be clear, I do not condone, support, or excuse any form of domestic violence. No one deserves to be hurt, especially during a vulnerable time. My priority right now is the safety and the well-being of myself and my future. I ask for privacy and respect during this painful time. Thank you to everyone who has reached out with concern. I greatly appreciate all of your support during this hard time." Now, she put this from the desk of Tatiana Chanel, like this is Barack Obama giving a State of the Union address or something, or that annual comment that he makes on like his favorite songs of the year. Like, get the hell out of here. She's giving this whole statement, especially this professional. Like, she could have just threw up a IG story with the black background and white text and would have done the same exact job. Now, we're not here to denigrate her too much because she is a victim, an alleged victim in this scenario, especially if the underage thing was true as well, which, I mean, come on, like, she's immediately 18 and then Boston Richey's with her and it just developed. It's almost like they knew each other for a while too. I'm not too sure about it. But the whole lesson of this is not like, oh, Boston Richey's bad for beating her and choking her. This is alleged, which, yeah, of course, that's bad. But it just goes to show the lack of appreciation for the position that he's been put in and the lease at life that he got. So he was already, number one, Boston Richey was fortunate enough to dodge getting arrested and going to prison those years that he was running up a bag to invest into his rap career. He invested into his rap career. He's fortunate enough to blow up. I don't like to say lucky. I really don't like to use that word because people use it to down somebody's actual accomplishments. So he was fortunate enough that his hard work, connecting, and quality of music got him into the right rooms, got him a good fan base, and he was able to make rapping a career. And then he beats the snitching allegations, which damn near could have ruined his career, ruined his money-making opportunities, and he would have to go back to the streets. So he's able to beat that. And then he gets hit with these charges. These charges, he's allowed to, federal case, he's allowed to bond out, which a lot of people in federal cases were not allowed to bond out, and they were held on bond. Now, for like a marijuana case, conspiracy to distribute marijuana, it's not as big of a deal as like a huge RICO, for instance, where violence is involved, like armed robberies and things like that, or murders. But nevertheless, a lot of other people had to sit in jail during this whole time. He didn't, and stuff was catching up with him from his past before he was a rapper. So I'm not going to blame him for doing anything while he was a rapper here. So this happened, and then he allegedly, if he gets with an underage girl at this point, that's foolish, because even in Florida, for the people that want to bring up the legalities, in Florida, age of consent is 18. So the whole like, oh, well, in some states it's 16, 17, no, it's 18. And when you look at just public perception, the age of consent is 18. Well, it might be 25 depending on the public perception, but standard public perception, it's 18. Which Boston Richey is a public figure, although he'd be able to get away with a lot more for the niche that he's in. He's not like a pop star that needs to have a clean act or anything. So then after that, he decides to also beat the chick or like choke the chick or get into these violent dramas with her. And it just goes to show you there's a lack of appreciation here. And you hear Boston Richey's music, especially like songs like Help Me, and you're like, okay, this he's trying to change. He wants better for himself, but his actions say otherwise. And now Boston Richey gets arrested for catching that charge, for violating the pre-trial bond that he had. And now Boston Richey's stuck in jail, and he's not getting out until that trial starts. So they revoked his bond. The feds revoked his bond after the girlfriend put the case on him. So now he's sitting there in his cell. No girl, no performances. He can't make any more money now, and he has to face a case. So I imagine, I don't even know what he's thinking, but he should be sitting there and thinking, what the hell was I doing? But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Go to helloyassine.com. Thank you for watching. Peace.